Good morning, everyone. I hope you are really well this morning and that the sun is still shining. I mean, it just hasn't stopped shining, has it, in the UK? It's like we live in a hot tropical country suddenly. It's incredible. Well, we have the aircon on. We're nice and cool in here. I hope you are cool at home. Welcome to our latest Brunch and Learn. If this is your first time, then a big welcome. If you're a regular, then a big hello, because we already know you. Today, we're talking about from searcher to delegator, so future-proofing your search strategy. If we've not met before, I'm Becky. I'm the founder and CEO here at Reflect Digital, and we're a performance marketing agency here to unleash your potential. So we specialise in leveraging human behaviour insights to optimise the customer experience and level up your digital marketing. So hopefully if you ordered a brunch box, it's already arrived. If you've tucked in already, brilliant. If you want to tuck in now, you can. The only thing I'd say, especially being the summer holidays, just keep the kids away from it. It's your box. They're just for you. We want today to be interactive, so if you've got any questions, like we've already got lots of your questions, which we're going to aim to get through as many as we can, but if you've got more questions, pop them in the chat and Lucy will, like magic, make them appear on my iPad, and we'll do our best to get through them. Any that we don't answer in the next week or so, we will get a response back to you. What else do you need to know? I think muted standard view is going to give you the best experience, so if you want to set that up, then that's great. We've got a few slides that I'm going to do, literally 5 minutes or so to just set the scene, and then the rest of it is going to be a panel. So before we start, I'm going to introduce our panel. Well, actually, I'm going to get them to introduce themselves, and I'm going to start down the line with Yordan. Yordan, welcome. Let's hear a little bit about you.
Thank you so much. My name is Yordan Dimitrov. I'm a senior search manager here at Reflect Digital. I've been with us for about 1.5 years now, and I've represented Reflect across various public forums, including Brighton SEO, SearchPulse. I've done some bits around SearchPulse, Search and Stuff, SEO Office Hours, and others. And I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
We're very happy to have you. So yeah, and your first time on a Brunch and Learn, so not going to be your last, I'm sure. And Jo, a regular panelist.
I'm Jo. I'm head of content and digital PR here at Reflect. I used to be a journalist for 10 years for the likes of ITV News, Channel 5 News, and various news streams across the country. I now head up the content and digital PR and creative teams, and my job is to make sure that the team are writing for humans and for AI, and also ensuring we get top tier coverage for our clients. So good to be here.
Love it. Lovely to have you. And Gary.
Hello, I'm Gary, VP of Paid Media at Reflect. I've been here for 6 years. This is actually my first Brunch and Learn as well. So really excited to be here. Looking forward to the questions.
Amazing. Short and sweet, to the point. Love it. Right, let me walk us through some slides. So hopefully you're going to see some slides on screen now, and I'm just going to give you some headlines. So all of this data, and again, in case you aren't aware and you haven't been following, we are doing something called SearchPulse. We are releasing reports once a quarter where we speak to 2,000 of the British public to ask them about their search habits, because we know more than ever, in the history of search, things are changing quicker and behaviour is changing and the way people feel about things is changing. So we want to bring that to you to help you inform your search strategy. So everything we talk about today, unless we say otherwise, is going to be from this report. Hopefully you've seen the report. If you haven't, you can find it on our website, and you can also find all of the older reports. And you can stay tuned in for every quarter when we release the next reports. You can also tell us things that you want to hear from the reports in the feedback form later, because we want to make sure these reports are giving you the answers that you need. So let's tell you a bit about our most recent report. So this came out last month. Let's walk through what we found. So you can see on screen 58% of 25 to 34-year-olds are using ChatGPT regularly. And you can see actually for every single age demographic on the graph, we've seen a big jump up from 2025. So that's not surprising, but it's interesting to know. And we specifically focused on ChatGPT just because we know it is probably the most commonly used still at the moment. 40% of users say that they scroll past the AI overviews for looking for the I don't know if they know the language organic, but they're looking for the natural results, the ones that they're used to seeing. So that's really interesting from a behavior point of view. It's almost similar to what we used to see with paid ads, that people were like, oh, I don't know if I can trust this, so I better go further down. But still, obviously, on the flip side, 60% of people are interacting. And then actually, when we ask them more about that, and you can see this by age demographic here, 45% of 18 to 24-year-olds click on the links within AI overviews because they want to verify the content that they're looking at. And if you see on the graph, the younger audiences do that. The older audiences are mainly saying, actually, no, I don't look. I'm too not sure about that. So I just skip past it. So again, really interesting from a behavior point of view, what we're seeing here, that there's different verification going on here. People are looking to build trust in different ways, and some are not quite there yet to trust what AI might be telling them. So then also from the topic of people looking at whether they would trust AI to complete the checkout for them, you can see here, so on average, 28% of the population said that they would be comfortable letting AI complete a purchase for them. But actually that peaks at 57% for one of our highest earner brackets, I think the 100,000 bracket. So that's, again, really interesting that actually people have got different feelings towards this, and those that are earning more, and therefore maybe, again, I've seen this in a few different reports, that people that are working in senior roles in businesses are actually using AI more and more. They're using it as an assistant, etc. So maybe they're getting more confident, which means that they are more likely to want to let the checkout happen. And this isn't obviously widespread yet, that you can use AI to check out, but it's coming, and it is. I was looking just to get some of the latest data, like lastminute.com now, Frasers. They're two websites that you definitely can leave it to the agent. You have to give the human instructions, you have to say what you're willing to do, and AI can check out. So I think this is definitely a trend we need to watch, and also I'm sure we'll start to participate in and test out. But these aren't four separate trends. They're actually just different expressions of confidence. People looking to build confidence, to make decisions, to move on to the next step in their journey. So they might be exploring, so help me understand my options. They might be verifying, help me feel confident this is right. Or they might be delegating, make the choice for me, do the thing for me. I know my ChatGPT, I'm like, I've got it working with lots of my different work things now, so that I can say, well, can you go and add that calendar invite? And it actually can act like an assistant. So really interesting what those different behaviors may look like. And I think we need to understand that zero click doesn't mean zero influence. So for anyone that's not clear on what we mean by zero click, when we're talking about zero click, this is where your brand may be showing up, be that in the AI overviews, it might be in the LLMs, but it's there as a source. It's there with the information, and you are there, but you don't know that that's happened. You don't know the eyeballs. You might know in your tracking that actually when someone searches for this, we tend to show up in the AI overview, but you don't know who's seen that, and you have no way of recording that in your data. So the zero click, they don't click through, you don't know about it, but it has still influenced them. So this is when also we're starting to see in data that people suddenly pop up on a website and buy something, but there was no history of them browsing. And we're not really sure why, but it's because obviously they're being influenced and they may be getting their answers elsewhere. So you might be seeing that your data's going down. You may be seeing these weird customer journeys popping up, and this is going to happen more and more. And we need to be able to get more comfortable with that, because this is the future. People are going to be getting influenced in different ways that we can't track. It's almost like being back in the Mad Men days of just a billboard is all we have. It's something that we need to think about. And actually, I've written a whole article that was published this week about this on Search Engine Land, which I think Lucy might pop the little link in for us in a moment, if you want to read more about this idea of building confidence. So the new job of search isn't only to provide information, it really is to create enough confidence for the next decision. So it really is a case of thinking about, what does that confidence journey look like for your audience, and how can we help them be building that at every step? Where might they be going to look for this confidence, and how do we make sure that we are fulfilling it, whether we can track it or not, to help them get to the point of doing whatever we want them to do, whether that's buy the thing or inquire. So we need to be thinking not just to be optimizing to be found, but designing to be chosen. So I think you're going to see this theme come through more in some of the answers to your questions, but that was kind of the headlines of our most recent report and some of the takeaways that I took from it. Now we're going to dive into the questions. So as I said, if you've got any live questions, please do pop them in the chat and Lucy will get them over to me. But let's get started, panel, if we're ready. Are we ready?
Yes.
We're ready. Yeah, look at the energy, I love it. Good work, Gary. Okay, so first question. So this is from Gemma at Simply Business. Gemma, I've seen you come to many of our events, so lovely to see you again. What are the key SEO performance metrics I should be looking at as part of a multi-channel strategy? And I'm going to come to Yordan first and then Joe on this one.
Of course. So I'd start off looking at your organic conversions. Something that I'd also like look into is your branded versus non-branded organic traffic. It's something that I also did a talk on at Brighton SEO and I feel really strong about. That you need to look at how people are finding your brand. Is it possible for you to also look at things like new versus returning users, your AI citation rate, and whether you're actually being recommended by those AI sources. One other thing that we're also looking at with some of our clients is the sentiment analysis as part of the behavioral element to it, whereby we look at, okay, if the client is being mentioned, is it in a positive context or in a negative, and how can we make sure that we put those positive things forward.
That's super important, isn't it? Because actually we don't want the AI going, don't buy in, but we've not realized that's what it's saying. We've just gone, oh, we're being cited. Great.
Yes.
Not
Exactly.
great if it's the wrong thing. So yeah.
And I think in terms of digital PR, but also content as well, like, and how we all like work together really. So it's a combined, like looking at all sorts of things. So obviously you mentioned clicks, IAOs, LLM mentions, and then it is that sentiment analysis of the coverage that you may get. So is it positive or negative? Where is your brand? How is it visible in those publications? And then the quality of the coverage you get as well. Like the stronger it is, the better it is, the more that you're then going to be trusted and your content's going to be trusted as well, and your experts that you use for that. So
definitely. So lots of metrics to think about. And I suppose because everyone keeps talking about seeing that their traffic is dropping because maybe people are seeing the answers elsewhere. How do we manage that with stakeholders? I guess we need to start communicating with them to make sure they understand. This doesn't mean that I'm not doing a good job as the marketing manager or the digital lead, but actually they need to understand the actual what's happening, don't they? This kind of zero-click world we're moving into.
They do indeed, and I think it's also interesting that I've read some studies which talked about how people are actually seeing the brands appear within AI overview, AI mode, and they're not converting straight away, like going back to those 0 clicks, but later on, like say a week later, they're actually converting. So it's really important that we're visible in those spaces, because at a later stage, the consumer is ready to convert and they'll come to us as a trusted source.
Definitely. And I guess also asking that question of how did you hear about us is actually quite important to bring back to our tracking where we can, because we've actually, and this is testament probably to Yordan because he leads all our SEO and GEO for Reflect, but we've had quite a few inquiries recently where people say, I found you on ChatGPT. ChatGPT said we should reach out. But actually, it's hard to know that without asking the question. So sometimes they'll put it in the inquiry because I think, again, it's still quite new. They're like, oh, ChatGPT recommended you. But actually, over time, I don't think people will tell you that unless you ask. So, yeah, really interesting. And yeah, good work on our SEO. It's good to know that we're good at what we do, right? Isn't it? So next question, Vicky, you're another regular, I think, from Huntington's Disease Association. So Vicky has asked, how do I keep my SEO strategy relevant and up to date in a fast changing world? And I think you've all got an opinion on this. So whoever wants to go first.
Okay, happy to go first.
Go first.
We'll go down the line.
Well, it's an SEO question, so I think I'm obliged to. But focus on the fundamentals. The fundamentals are still really important. You need to make sure that you have a strong, technically sound website. What I would also do is run regular technical audits, content audits, see if there is any content that no longer aligns to what you're trying to offer, where your core, like bread and butter is, so to speak. And from SearchPulse perspective, I also wanted to mention that it's about getting that real AI overview estate and making sure that we're keeping on top of what's appearing there and how we're being perceived.
I agree, and it's also about keeping it flowing. So that search behavior, how people are, it changes so regularly. So you just got to keep on top of that, look at AI results, obviously, and those audience questions and being informative with the content that you're producing, and then feed all of that, all those insights into all the channels and regularly touch points and where you can optimize in particular channels to keep it relevant. And like search is forever changing and it will continue to change. So
Yeah, and I think that last point you made about all of the different channels and feeding information, it feeds into sort of how I feel about it. Obviously, I don't have an answer for SEO specifically, but what I want people to start thinking about is how we can use other channels and sort of the instant feedback loops from them. So let's think of paid social. With Meta, for example, you've got, a great way to test 20 different concepts of how people are potentially going to engage with your brand, looking at how people are going to comment on your post, for example. All of these different things can actually help you to understand who are your audience, how they are engaging with your brand, just with these channels. And you can use that information to help fuel your content and SEO strategies. So it's not directly related, but it's still something that people need to start thinking about.
Definitely. But I think what that leans into is this idea of we've got to start to break these silos down.
Yeah.
We can't have a paid team, a digital PR and content team, and an SEO team, and that you never talk to each other, because that's not how our customers are behaving. We need to be sharing insight. We need to be thinking, and we almost need to map that confidence journey between like, okay, so what I'm doing means that we'll show up here, and what I'm doing means we'll show up here. Well, when are they coming, and what are they doing, and who are they, and are we giving them the confidence to do the next thing? So I definitely think we're going to see less. Well, I hope we see that we're having less silos. But I hope for all of our audience that we're going to have less silos.
But it's also where we also work with internal teams and their like other agencies that they may have. So we work with the travel brand, they have a social media team, but we work quite closely with them to know what's actually working well for them. If there's something coming up, like we had the Dan Snow Odyssey documentary appear on Channel 5 recently, that one of our clients was in, but also the Odyssey, the film's been out. So it's making sure we have the content that's relevant to the film, to the documentary, that we're feeding it into all the content we're producing, into all the other channels as well. So that it is just we're in all those touch points where that their clients are going to be seeing that, or new audiences as well.
Just thinking of it more like a search ecosystem as opposed to thinking about channels and getting too specific. It's like, actually, we need that big picture thinking, don't we?
Yeah.
Love that. Well, great question, Vicky. Thank you so much for that. Next question is, so Chloe from Amron Architectural, and I think again, Chloe, I think you're a regular. We got lots of regulars on the call today, which is brilliant. So this one's for Yordan. So do we need to target e-commerce customers differently to B2B for AI search? And if so, how do we do that?
So there are two different user journeys. So when it comes to e-com, it's more product like led, so best queries, things like that. Whereas we're looking at B2B, I'd look at it as more of a problem solving like type query. And often I might expect them to use an LLM for that complicated journey, explaining the problem and what they're trying to like resolve in a like long-winded query / prompt, and then putting that into an LLM and then making sure that we're either being cited or recommended.
Nice. I like that. But I do think we also have to remember that whether it's B2B or B2C, it's humans.
Yes.
So it is basically what you've just said there is we've got to understand what they're trying to do. Are they trying to solve a product problem? Do they want product surface? Because I suppose some B2B can still be an e-com that they're buying, but what is it they're trying to do, and how do we be helpful to them?
I was just going to say, you probably add like verification and trustworthy signals onto the product pages, particularly as well, where that they then see actually that I do trust and I do want to buy from you, and have the customer what's the word? The reviews, etc. as well. So that's going to really bring it to life. Exactly, and social proof.
Yeah, and I guess that the B2B customer is potentially looking for that slightly differently to the B2C. The B2C might want to be able to go and see on TikTok and watch the video or whatever, whereas the B2B might want to see, I want to see the brand. I want to know that you've worked with a brand like ours. I want the testimonial, or maybe want the video still, but I don't want the TikTok video. I want the slightly more polished professional video. But it's again trying to get into that And I suppose the best way, especially in a B2B space, where we might feel we don't know this as well, is to go and speak to our customers and ask them about how they are searching at the moment and actually get that kind of deep information from them. Because you can learn so much from that. Okay, brilliant, lovely. So next one, so Sophia Eliza from HCA Healthcare. Nice to see you on the call. What tools help identify what people are searching for via AI? Yordan. Sorry, it's the Yordan show a little bit.
So at the moment, there's not like a off-the-box solution when it comes to LLM visibility. I think I watched a webinar recently where they said that there's 600 different registered tools which can track, how prompts are performing. But in terms of what solutions we have directly from the horse's mouth, in terms of Google, and they're having the biggest market share, we've got the generative AI visibility only for impressions within Google Search Console, and we also have within Google Analytics 4, we have referral traffic as a source which we can reference. But I think it's kind of going back to one of the previous points which we talked about. It's that multi-channel journey, and it's about behavioral-led search and identifying at which point people are coming through to our website, and crossing those different multi-channels to be able to identify which channels are involved.
Definitely. And I suppose, again, it's asking your customers, because it's not like being able to just go and run a search query report and get tons of, here's all the search volumes, because also the way people search is so varied, isn't it? Because you can be so conversational, and it's and actually I talk to my AIs quite a lot, like I voice note rather than type. So then, I waffle probably. I'm like, here's a bit of context here, and I'm looking for this, and blah, 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 blah. And then I'm like, oh God, there's like 4 paragraphs that I've just said there. But actually, you can't look that up and go, oh, let's rank for that in AI. Like it doesn't work, does it? But I suppose it's then we need to be talking to our customers to understand like what are the big things that they're asking AI to help them with, or to answer, or to look for,
And it's more personal than ever. Like it will know context for you. So I think one of the case studies which I was looking at showed that, for example, if you are a vegan, you'll be more inclined to kind of purchase, cruelty-free, trainers. And if you fed that information to your LLM, it's more likely to actually go down that route when it comes to recommendation. Therefore, if you're trying to identify how you appear, it's difficult because each journey might be unique and the context would be different. As always, like you said, some people might be talking to their LLM instead of actually using to try to type stuff in.
And as you say, you're not going to have needed to type in saying, I'm looking for cruelty-free trainers, because that's kind of known because your assistant knows it. So yeah, it is a bit of a minefield, isn't it? But I do think, like I've been talking to quite a few customers at the moment that are kind of feeling like they're just assuming what people are searching. And I think that we really need to do some customer research, which you can either do yourselves or that is something we can help you with, but actually speak to customers, and whether that's doing interviews, whether that's doing a larger scale survey, but actually just trying to understand how they search, and you'll see it in the SearchPulse data, like it's so varied.
Yeah,
it's so varied. And I guess because our trust is varied, where we choose to start and finish our journeys and what we choose to use throughout it varies as well. I get excited about it though, because it is really exciting. So we had another B2B question here. So this was Benjamin from TCIGB Limited. Hi, Benjamin. So what are businesses doing to remain visible in B2B environments where access to search is through work-based technology? So we had a brief chat about this earlier. So we were thinking Benjamin's meaning kind of if we're needing to use Copilot, because that's what we've got at work. How do we remain visible in those kind of environments? Yordan, sorry.
It's okay. When it comes to those more, gated, I suppose, platforms like Copilot, we need to remember that Copilot is a Microsoft product, so it's still going to rely on Bing to obtain a lot of that information. So, making sure that our website is well optimized will help us gain that visibility. In addition to that, when it comes to B2B, to be more things like frameworks, any opportunities for like citations, kind of going into like the author pages and like making sure that those are well optimized if you're able to publish content or if you have specialists within the business. One of our clients that we support has a number of chefs who are very well recognized within the industry, and we've started to build designated chef pages with their press coverage to help build that authority and make sure that they're being cited as a point of reference. So kind of going back into EAT again.
Yeah, and like comparative content as well, I suppose, for B2B. It's like this company compared to this company or this project compared to that, and like that table formats, which can be again easily picked up by AI as well. So it's just looking at ways you can formulate your content as well.
And I guess it's knowing your target audience. So, for example, if you're going after government, public sector, and you know that actually from talking to people that work there, and this is a slight assumption, I don't know for definite, but that actually they can only use Copilot and it's really locked down, then actually maybe they're not using Copilot to search as much. Maybe they are still on Google, in which case we really need to be thinking about, like, just because we're saying AI search is growing, it doesn't mean it's growing for all audiences. And you'll see that in the data. So it's about knowing your audience. Whereas if, for example, you were targeting agencies like ourselves, like we're all over blooming AI. So actually it's going to be a bit of ChatGPT, a bit of Gemini, a bit of Claude, like people are really kind of testing all the different platforms. So it's knowing that B2B, who it is you're targeting, and again, what their behavior is like and can be like because of any restrictions in their companies. Cool. Just a reminder, if you've got any live questions, to pop those in. I haven't seen any come through yet, but you are very, very welcome to send them through. This is a lovely previous client of ours, Romy. Romy, if you're on the call, lovely to see you. Romy's from Luna. And Romy has asked us, how are your money, your life categories being impacted? And this is for Yordan and for Gary.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one, isn't it? I think businesses in these specific categories are simply going to have a higher burden of proof. So I think anyone that is currently very well trusted, this is an assumption, obviously. It's just my thought of it, but I feel like they're already going to do quite well. And those that are entering the space are probably going to find quite a lot of difficulty to grow themselves unless they build up that element of proof, trust.
Yeah. Yeah, because you've got to have that there for the LLMs to recommend you. Like,
well, it's like, think of it this way: if you're buying something that doesn't require much effort or thought, or it's not going to have any sort of repercussions. So when you go to ChatGPT, for example, you ask something about your, I don't know, health. If you follow information that isn't necessarily correct, then obviously there's mass repercussions, and that could be, terrible for, I guess, your future. So being a brand that people are going to trust, and when they see the sort of things that you're recommending in there is going to become increasingly important, I think, at least.
Definitely. And also I think we're seeing the LLMs being much more cautious in what they say, and that they're saying you should check this with a doctor, or you should ring 111, or you should, because they know that it is super risky to give wrong information.
It is. And I think the citation bar is much higher. So in order for it to actually be visible on those results, you need to have a lot of like reputation, like you said. And I think it kind of reminds me of going back to COVID times, when all of a sudden we had like lots of people trying to spread a lot of information about COVID. And I guess they themselves wanted to be helpful, but Google actually rolled out an algorithm to make sure that it was prioritizing any gov.uk, gov like related, or ac.exactra domains, to make sure that it's actually focusing on educational or like peer-reviewed content, as well as government official sources, so that there was no misinformation and that people were safe in that environment where it's, at the end of the day, it's your money, your life, and that's what it should be treated like. And when it comes to that, EEAT is not an option, it's a mandatory thing, and you need to be absolutely on top of it, if you actually want to appear in that space.
Definitely. And if anyone doesn't know EEAT,
experience, authoritativeness, trustworthiness, Expertise.
Expertise, yeah. I was like, I'd lost that one as well. I was like, what is it?
Yeah.
My brain goes, sorry, I did put you on the spot, but I just thought to make sure people know.
Yes.
But I suppose the interesting thing here, because actually I still remember the days, and this was, I don't know, probably 10 years or so ago, that there was a horrible trend of like payday loan sites would just spin up a dodgy site. They'd be able to get it ranked really quickly on Google because they kind of knew the dodgy ways to do that, knowing that it would get taken down probably 3 or 4 days later, but actually they'd get tons of business in those few days, and then they'd just go on and do the next one. Obviously that, like, Google worked out how to stop that being able to happen. We've kind of learned from that, but actually what that does mean is if you are in a your money your life situation as a startup, you really need to get started early thinking about SEO, GEO, and building this trust, because it is going to be so much harder for you than if you were a startup, I don't know, selling dog toys or something. You're going to need it, like, and you've still got to start early because actually it's so competitive, but actually it's just going to be even harder, isn't it? No, it's really interesting. Really interesting. Okay, so let's have a look. Where do we go next? Because we've talked about EEAT, so what role does that play in AI-driven search journey? And starting with Jo on that one, like, what do people need to be thinking about there?
From my point of view, it's that evidence, that rich, that authoritative and useful content, rather than just looking at keywords, as we've sort of been talking about this whole time. Really, it's that information that people want. So it is that when you're writing, but whether it be short form or long form, but making sure that you are ticking those boxes, as it were. So establishing that trust. Have you got experts that you can use within your brand that you can quote? Having those trustworthy signals, as I say, those, if it's social proof or if it's accreditations, and put those on your sites as well. Across if you've been featured in publications, as featured in, to give you that and your users and your customers that actual trust and what's the word? My brain is going today. Confidence that actually we do trust you. So there's lots of things you can do. There's also the types of content and the way you can present your content as well. Is it video? Is it actually, we don't need all this long form content? Can we reduce this to short form video? Is that how your users engage? And I think it is going back right to the start to where your audience is, what your audiences want to do and how they're engaging, to then be able to inform how we can form this page or this landing page or this blog, etc. And then it is also about digital PR as well. So if you are being cited in publications, it's then obviously going to reinforce that confidence, obviously, to your customers as well. So it's sort of all multi-channel, and that approach is not just thinking content only. It's thinking about, and your own content, it's thinking about earned content as well.
Definitely. And digital PR is becoming more and more important. I mean, it's been important for so many years for SEO, but actually I think there's more of a spotlight now.
There is, very much so.
If someone's sitting on the call thinking, but I'm struggling to get budget signed off for this, like, where do they start? Like, should they be trying to do, okay, I need a chunky budget, let's do a big hero campaign and go out with a bang and show something incredible? Or do I need to start smaller and try and build up that confidence internally that this works? Like,
so I think it's really about saying it's a part of that GEO-led experience. It's not just digital PR as it is now. We can do X, Y, Z. It's that working together and that collaborativeness. It's like building up that. It's also working with the content team, your content team, or also your digital PR team, and how they can amplify that content even further. But for me, I always see it as that, like, I think you should have it as part of that, like, drumbeat throughout your strategy, so that you're not just popping up here. Yes, a big campaign will absolutely work. I don't think it's quite like it was a good few years ago, where it's like, let's get loads and loads of links. Well, 100 or so links are great, but are they relevant? Are they authoritative? Are they actually going to resonate with your audiences? Do they care? Like, you've got to look at it like that. Whereas if it's more, you get a good quality links, like 10 or so, that are really relevant to your particular audiences, that are going to then help build the authority of your website. Fantastic. So it's looking at, and also AI citations. We want to be seen in those citations now more so than perhaps links, or that combined approach. So it's sort of that multi-channel and
holistic overview.
Exactly, that holistic overview, exactly that, rather than just digital PR as it stands.
And to get the citation, do you need a link, or it doesn't have to have a link?
Not necessarily, no. That's where traditional and digital PR now are so important. So if you do have a traditional arm, brilliant, but have the digital as well. Like, A traditional PR is that more like thought leadership, which is absolutely needed because you want to be trusted and cited. Any launches, only particular products, that is still so relevant and still so useful for your customers to like have that confidence in you again. But also the digital PR adds that. So say, for instance, we're working with a travel brand again. So we will do like best places to go in Greece, best places to hidden gems in, I don't know, the Mediterranean. But also you're looking at what particular launches this particular customer is doing, or product launches, or initiatives they're running. So if you're having traditional and digital PR both together, then you're again having that holistic approach. Therefore, you're going to be cited. So not only cited in the, AI overviews, but also have those backlinks as well.
Nice. And also aligning that all to your social content.
Exactly.
Because they all feed each other, don't they? And actually, if you've got this incredible article where you've done all the hidden gems, then that's beautiful for social. And
absolutely.
Because people are scrolling their Instagram. I mean, I'm that person looking for the hidden gems.
Exactly.
Amazing. I love it. I love it. We had a question here, Joe, we'll stick with content for a minute. So if content is becoming the destination for verification rather than discovery, how should content strategies change? So if it is that confidence piece, what does it mean is different to how it was before?
I think it's still doing, like, as you've absolutely said, like sticking to the basics. But as I've been saying, we've all been saying, is just building up that trust to those that content that you are producing, and it is thinking of those strategies again, thinking about like not just earned media, but also owned media, but also earned media as well, and that earned content, and making sure that we are all working together on that. It's information as well, not just content for content's sake. It's like, do people want to read this piece of content? What is going to give me the most value, and the information I need immediately to make those decisions or to make those purchases, etc.
Nice. And it's thinking, and we've talked about this before, but like the idea of the messenger, like who is the messenger of this content? Is this coming from us as the brand? Do we want the audience to be involved in creating this content? Do we want an influencer? Like how's this going to resonate with our audience? Because that's a lever that I think people sometimes forget that they have.
Yeah.
Because again, like where you use expert commentary so much with digital PR, actually who that expert is, and it doesn't always have to be from the company. It could be an external person that is validating what the company's saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, we work with tourist boards. We work with experts on bases that are within the travel sector that they have. So we utilize as much as we can to then feed the SEO content to improve the pages as well as the digital PR. It just builds up that trustworthiness. Like I know I do. I just want to have that trust. That's a big value of mine. So it's a lot for everybody. And to see that there will obviously just help with those decisions on purchases, etc.
But we just hear more scaremongering now, don't we, of not being able to trust. And we also know how easy it is that AI can create a video that looks real, that isn't. And so therefore it's given us more reason not to trust as well. So therefore we look for it even more.
Yeah, and I think at the moment there's so much going on in terms of trying to rectify that. So now the European Commission is actively trying to enforce labeling of any AI content. Anthropic have also gone ahead and said that they're going to mark the content that is being produced by Claude, whereby there will be like a hidden like symbol to make sure that it shows that the content was written with AI, because we need to make sure that we can be trusted. And anyone can spin a website quickly, but like you said, we're kind of going back into that period where people were spinning stuff trying to like make quick money, but you don't want to that to happen and to actually damage the consumer's trust.
Definitely. Interesting on the AI labeling. So I was out at the weekend for my sister-in-law's birthday, and I took a photo of her when they put the candles over on the cake and sent it to her, and then she put it on her Instagram, but it labeled it as AI content, and she hadn't done anything to it. And I'd literally just taken it with my iPhone, but there was no way also to get rid of the label. So she was also like, she put a comment on there like, this isn't actually AI generated, but like, so I don't know, again, while they're trialing this, they're also not going to always get it right. And I don't know what would have made them think that there was AI in there.
It's all algorithmic. So ultimately Meta just reviews the specific image, audio, or anything that's actually within it, and then just makes a determination as to whether it's AI or not. I think even for advertising specifically, you now have to actually in some cases, in the back end, put forward that your content is AI, that you're actually pushing forward. And I expect in the future, there's probably going to be, I know at the top of most advertisements now, it says this is AI generated. I can't remember the exact label that it puts on, but I definitely think in the future, it's going to be much more prominent in terms of how it's displayed on advertising. It's currently not on every channel, but I do think definitely it's going to be everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think when it comes to like the image in particular, it tends to be the metadata which is being impacted in terms of that. So I had a similar experience where I uploaded a carousel of images on Instagram, and one of the images I actually used the Instagram filter to just put myself forward to so basically sort out the depth of field. And it made the entire post with like an AI level. I
Right.
couldn't remove it. So I think sometimes it's them filters
Yeah.
because they are actually powered by AI, and that's why it's adding it. But like
It
you
is,
said, it's
yeah.
actually useful that even if there's like AI assistance there, is that all these platforms are trying to help us distinguish between what is, real and authentic and what has actually had AI involved in it.
I'd say it's definitely that. I can't remember when it was, years and years ago, you used to actually be able to review the metadata of your profile or specific imagery that you've interacted with, and Meta would be able to tell you, I know what you like. I know that you have interacted with this, you like this. And I think that's how Andromeda works nowadays, if anyone knows about that, where it understands specific imagery and it reads the metadata of it and understands what you've interacted with. And that's how it now shows ads. So maybe the same way it's doing that is the same way it's determining as to whether it's AI or not.
There we go. A little aside there and something to keep an eye out for, I guess, because it's all changing. But we're also going to all I feel like we're going to get more comfortable with going, well, AI helped me with this.
Yeah.
Or we should at least, because it's nothing to be ashamed of. And actually, it's interesting if it was just a filter but we're going to be using it more and more.
Well, the way you use it, you mentioned earlier, that's kind of inspired me to use it that way, ramble at it, and it actually comes back. As long as you're using it as a tool, you're not using it as your brain.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of people are using it as their brain and they're just losing the ability to think critically.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of studies on that. So as long as we're using it as a tool, great.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I ramble all the time, and then then ask it to help organise what's going on up here, though. Actually, especially like when you're busy and like our diaries are back-to-back meetings, and you're like, I've got 5 minutes here. Like, can I just quickly tell you this? And can you help me think about this later? Blah blah blah. And then when you come back to it later, it's like, and you're like, oh, okay, that is what I thought. Yes, I'm going to use that. I'm going to do that.
I just get really like, oh, you know what to do, and it will just pull out the content. Like, you knew what to do. Thank you so much. It just knows me so well.
It has democratized having an assistant, and I think as long as you use it as an assistant, like assistants in businesses, and obviously it's always been the most senior people and in larger companies that have been able to afford having an assistant, but that's never meant that those people are dumb in those roles. It's meant that actually they've just got someone helping them get stuff done. And actually, that's what we've all now got the opportunity, providing we don't just outsource all our thinking.
No.
Yeah, I'm really curious actually, because I've a weird skill that I've developed is now understanding when something is AI or not, because you understand the specific cues, the certain
So we can play
punctuations.
the game.
Yeah.
AI or not.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's one thing to clarify. I don't know if people are going to look at content, for example, like it's AI generated. It's not great for me. But one thing to
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do, but I don't mean everybody does. And I know our team do. But that's where we use it, just for to help us research the content and formulate the ideation of it and structure, but actually to write it, which AI can certainly help with, but it's just putting that human brilliance onto it as well.
It's human brilliance. So we're getting close to time. We're gonna do a couple of paid search questions because we got Gary, and it would be wrong to not dive into this space. So, Gary, what happens to paid search when users increasingly get their answers without clicking through to a search results page? Is this going to be the death of paid search?
No, of course not. I think
there's always a death of something in marketing.
I
mean, it died back in 2010.
Exactly. Yeah. To be honest, there's so many ways of looking at it. Right? I'll give you one view. Let's think about it this way. Let's say, for example, you're spending 20% of your ad spend on informational-based searches at the moment. Now, there's always going to be that thing now with AI overviews where somebody's going to come in, they're going to look for a fact. I don't really need them to go to my website. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But at the end of the day, they're just looking for a fact. So for me, where I'm really invested is trying to make sure that I'm actually visible during the action-based sort of step of their journey. So, for example, if they go through and they say, like, who's the best agency in Kent, and obviously it'll come up Reflect Digital. And then when they go, actually, who am I going to work with? then that's when I want to be visible.
Yeah.
You know, like that could be something that actually we need to focus on a little bit more. And if you look at it from ad spend, you know, I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Let's say we are spending 20% of our budget currently on informational-based searches. Let's say we command the AI overviews, so we no longer need to spend that. Again, this is an assumption where I'm just speculating. Could we actually then move that into our more commercially viable terms within our ad accounts? So I think it's dead. You know, this is just one view from me, but there are so many ways to look at it and how it could both be beneficial, but also potentially damaging. I think it does depend on your specific industry.
Yeah. Yeah. It's again just looking at that customer journey, isn't it? And how you plan it. No, really nice answer. So, okay, so this one, I think Joe and Gary and you might have thoughts as well. So from our research, it shows that people are becoming more comfortable with this idea of delegating decisions, and we recognise that in ourselves. But many still want to verify information. How should brands respond to these seemingly conflicting behaviours? So the fact that we want to outsource it and get someone to do it, but then we also might need to verify it though. Like how do we show up for both?
I personally think it's relevant to the importance of the decision to the individual. So let me think of an example. So okay, let's say there's somebody that they're trying to buy a laptop. So you go on a ChatGPT. What you're doing is, and let's assume they don't know anything about laptops, and they want to play a game with their friend. All they know is they want to play that game. So they go on ChatGPT and say, "Hey, I want to play this game. What specs do I need?" Great, okay, I've got this budget, 1,500 quid, whatever. You know, we're trying to buy a PC. It will give all the recommendations of what you could potentially do. Now, for most people, certainly for me, 1,500 quid is a lot of money. So therefore, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and further validate that. I'm going to go on Reddit. I'm going to go on YouTube. I'm going to watch reviews. I'm going to understand. I'm not just going to take it at face value and be like, yes, Mr. and Mrs. AI, like that is exactly.
It's given you a starting point there, hasn't it? It's filled the blank page that you're like, oh, okay, now I know what to look up more about.
On the other hand, if I'm going hiking next weekend and I'm like, oh, and if I need a water bottle to, you know, I'm just going to go, great, what's a really good water bottle? It's going to go, don't use a plastic one, terrible for the environment, use a metal one. Cool, to give me a link, Amazon, £8. I'll probably just buy it. I'm not really going to do that further sort of validation. So I think it depends on the specific purchase that you're making or whatever it is you're doing, but it also depends on the individual themselves and how important that decision is to them.
Yeah.
And I think it depends again on the demographic. So like we talked about within SearchPulse, 40% of the users who are 35 plus who skip those AI answers and actually go down to the traditional search, you know, the blue links if there are any available, or the SERP features. Therefore, it's really important to be across both, especially if you have a really big audience, like you said, water bottles, you know, they're suitable for 35 plus year olds and for younger demographic.
Well, the age demographic even gets more important because in one of the SearchPulse findings, it mentioned 18 to 44-year-olds actually use 5 channels, and 45 and above typically use 2 or 3. So if you think about it that way as well, it extends further. You know, like
Definitely.
Making a big decision, they're going to be everywhere. You know, I'm going to be looking at Reddit for that human validation. I'm going to be looking at AI for that AI validation, I guess. So there's so much going on there. But
we're grateful for cookies because they can track you everywhere and keep promoting the same product.
Well, don't get you started on tracking. Tracking now, obviously, is more difficult.
Harder, isn't it? Yeah.
Incrementality is one of the most important things now because you've got so many different places that people are going. How do you understand the true value of YouTube when you can't just rely on platform-based metrics anymore? Because there's so much going on.
So for anyone that doesn't understand incrementality, how does this work?
We're just understanding the full value of a specific platform outside of the metrics that are reported. So for example, if you're running Google search, you know that people are clicking on those links, you know that that's actually what's happening. But what you don't know is the influence that, let's say, StackAdapt, so a DSP, programmatic advertising, has actually had on your holistic performance as a business. The reason why you won't know that is the majority of conversions that are tracked within the platform are impression-based conversions. And therefore, the full incrementality is just what actually did that do for me. And especially when you look at YouTube, it doesn't report anything. All you get is how many people viewed your content. So really what you need to start looking at is the holistic performance of the business. Say you're a Shopify business, you made 2,000 sales last month. You've just ran YouTube, you've spent 10 grand on it. That's way loads, but let's just assume you did. Suddenly your sales are 2.5K. So you need to understand, right, is that incrementality of that from YouTube?
Yeah.
Or did that just come from elsewhere? From an NCPA perspective, is it actually viable for me to put my budget there? today there's so many decisions you need to make
Yeah.
across channels, across,
Yeah.
it gets quite complex.
Which is why, like, from a budget perspective, having someone that's got the bigger picture view is really important, because if we're just going, we're in paid search, we've got 100 grand, in digital PR, we've got 100 grand, but actually you need to zoom back out, because it might be better that, 150 goes to digital PR and only 50 on paid. But if we're not having those conversations and we're not looking at it holistically, we can't, and we just carry on as we always have, spending it how we do.
Yeah, this isn't a question on the thing, but it's something to interest in. So a lot of what I've been looking into is platforms that unify your attribution. So I don't know if people have used it before, but things like Triple Whale and Matomo are quite good third-party tools to unify all of your sort of elements that you're running together to give you an indication of what might actually be bringing in that incrementality. Just a random.
Nice, I like it.
Yeah.
That all important killer question. So this was Stephanie at EMJ, and just to remind you all, there's one thing we should be doing in terms of setting ourselves up in the age of AI with regards to search. What would you recommend? We're going to go down the line from Yordan.
So mine would be define the prompts which you want to track and the journeys that matter most, because that's where your bread and butter is, and that's where you need to make a big impact, and then work backwards to identify how can you be visible for them and reverse engineer the whole kind of journey.
Love it. Love it.
Mine is to build authority beyond just your website.
Nice. Succinct.
Succinct.
We've spoken a lot about understanding your audience because of the importance of, there's so many different channels, there's so many different sort of ways in which people are searching now. So I think it's exactly that, just understanding exactly who your audience are, where they are, what they're doing during each of those channel sort of journeys. I think that is going to be most important.
Definitely. And speak to them to find that out, because that's going to help you get your prompts, and it's going to help you know where to build authority.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it all comes full
It's a
circle.
very cheeky thing you can do on LinkedIn.
Oh,
Yeah. If you
cheeky tip alert.
Cheeky tip. She don't want these banners.
Is this legal?
It is legal. You can actually run a targeting campaign based on your current website visitors and just show them thought leadership. Because what LinkedIn does is, in the professional demographics section, any impression that you actually serve, it collects the professional demographics of your audience. So if you're concerned about who are my current audience, what are their job titles, what are they doing, literally just run a retargeting campaign, 100 quid on LinkedIn. The impressions will track the professional demographics. You'll learn about the industries that are visiting your website. You'll learn about the job titles that are visiting your website.
Channels working together to support each other. Look at this. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Amazing. Okay, so that is us for today. Things I need to tell you about. So we're going to be down at Brighton SEO at the beginning of October, which is super exciting. We've got a couple of the team on stage. I'm doing a talk. I can't remember the title, so I won't tell you now, but it'll be on our latest SearchPulse data. And our wonderful colleague Sarah is doing a talk talking about values and how they show up in a business and motivate people. So it's going to be incredible. We are also hosting our future Gaze and Graze event. So if you are a senior marketer, if you're going to be at Brighton SEO, there is a QR code on screen now so that you can sign up to attend our event. There'll be nibbles, there'll be drinks, and we'll be talking all things SearchPulse and the latest data. If you don't have a Brighton SEO ticket, but you really want to come, ask us and we'll see what we can do. Lucy might be giving me daggers now going, we don't have enough tickets, but if you don't ask, you don't get. We'll see what we can do. But that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to our amazing panel. You've been fabulous, made my job easy, which is wonderful. And go and enjoy the sunshine, stay cool, and we will see you at a future event.